Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. This week's update for 9.1 was fairly small, but it seems that every single update for patch 9.1 adds some sort of a small update that doesn't make it into the blue post, doesn't make it into that Wowhead article that I want to talk about in this video. Gearing is going to be one of those things that's continuing to evolve in the patch 9.1, and there's going to be a bunch of catch-up mechanisms added. We have a brand new raid and a brand new dungeon, and as well as brand new gear from all these systems for us to acquire. And it looks like Blizzard has made some adjustments, some for the better and some for the worse if you do take the community's stand and outlook on it. So let's take a look at some of the smaller stories that have happened this week for patch 9.1 that hasn't exactly got the attention that they wanted. First of all, let's start off with the good news when it comes to the raiding gear of the next raid, Sanctum of Domination. This gear will actually have separate sockets inside of them, sockets where not normal gems go into, but rather domination gems. These gems will have extra powerful effects, not just things like versatility increase and haste increases, but rather things like, well, speed or leech bonuses, which can be useful for healers, maybe some damage procs, even shields and absorbs, and they have quite a bit of customizability. These gems are allocated into 3 different colors for 3 different types. Purple is unholy, frost is blue, and red is blood. Having 3 of the same type of gem, not the same gem because you can't slot the same gem in multiple pieces of gear, but the same 3 of the same type, so all purple, all blue, all red, allows you an extra bonus, kind of like a tier set bonus, that inside of the Maw as well as the new raid gives you an extra bonus effect, almost like a tier set effect. So you would imagine these are raid bonuses, but these gems themselves individually can be used inside of Mythic Pluses, they can be used outside of the raid in the Maw as well, so it is very possible to utilize that raid gear to take it into Mythic Pluses in order to be more tanky as a tank or more damage oriented as a DPS, more healy as a healer. You'll miss out on the set bonuses for these gem types, but you will still be able to utilize them either way. Blizzard decided to fix the foreseeable headache of being able to swap out your gems in the future gear. Imagine you started off and you're doing the new raid Sanctum of Domination, you just got yourself a full heroic set and you're getting some of those gems up away. And you are even able to upgrade these gems to a higher rank, so you can get these gems to a rank 2, rank 3, rank 4. The more of this currency you get from the raid, the better these gems can be. And all of a sudden, once you are fully heroic out and a mythic chest piece drops that also has a gem slot, well, now it feels like you have to swap out the chest piece. But what else happens to the gem? If it's the same gems as normal gems from the Jewelcrafting profession, well, you just have to go buy a new one on the auction house. But with these new gems, you actually have to do the new raid in order to get them. And if you want to get the best version of the gem, you gotta upgrade it after. So already we have foreseen an issue where players would be running into, they have to replace the gear that they already had with the same gems they already had. So Blizzard added in patch 9.1 in Korthia a new item that will actually let you extract this gem, whatever type it is, whether it's an upgraded version of that gem to rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, out of that slot of gear, and you can reuse it in any piece you want to. That means that you'll be able to collect the gear as well as the gems and upgrade the gems separately, and then swap these gems in and out depending on what kind of situation you're in. Maybe it's Mythic Plus and you want to tank, but you're going for like 20s or whatever, and you might want to be more tanky, less damage oriented. So as a tank, you might be able to swap out your gear and add a bit of extra customization. Maybe same with DPS, you might need a little bit extra defensiveness in order to survive certain mechanics, otherwise it's going to be difficult for your spec to live and do much inside of that key. Little things like that, so it's good that Blizzard added an item pretty early on in order to swap out your gems, so then you're not super worried about upgrading the gems, then losing out on the gems because it's in the wrong set of gear and now you have to regrind it, reform it. So already Blizzard fixed that issue before it became an issue. I'm very glad about it, and that does add another layer of customization for our characters going into patch 9.1, which should be interesting to see how players foresee this and how players play around with it. For some bad news, the gear from the new dungeon, the mega dungeon Tezavesh, has been nerfed in a way. Blizzard decided to cap out this gear at 226 item level. Previously, on PTR, this gear started at 210 item level with plenty of room to grow if you were to invest Valor points into this gear. That means this gear would have actually had a much higher item level towards endgame, and certain powerful trinkets and items and even weapons potentially could be some of your best in slot pieces because of the unique extra effects that they offer. But Blizzard decided to cap out this gear, so you have a limit as to how high it can go. So Tezavesh gear most likely will not be your best in slot gear, and in most cases it will end up being your catch-up gear for all your ults. There are some powerful items inside of Tezavesh, but I don't think some of them are as powerful as the bracers from Mechagon. Bracers from Mechagon allowed players to be able to, especially fire mages, reduce the cooldown of Fire Blast so they can go for a ton of Fire Blasts into Pyroblast during burst cooldowns of their combustion, which gave mages that had the bracers, even at very low item level, a little bit of an edge over competition. This nerf has two ways of looking at it. On one hand, you won't need to run Tezavesh in order to wait until your best slot piece drops if this gear was upgradable like it was on PTR, because Tezavesh is a weekly content. It's not like Mythic Pluses that can be spammed, and it's not like raids which are weekly content, but they do have a weekly vault log behind it. So even if you might kill a boss inside of the new raid, and you might have not gotten that chest piece or that weapon that you wanted, you still have a chance to get it from your weekly vault. Tezavesh would be purely weekly content, as in if you'd done the full run of Tezavesh and the boss didn't drop the piece you wanted, the trinket, whatever it may be, you're kind of out of luck. And then it would just make the RNG even worse. At least the current Mythic Pluses and raids have multiple options, multiple opportunities for you to get that same piece, but inside of Tezavesh you just would kind of be locked out on the weekly rotation, and that's about it. On the other hand, you are adding a new mega dungeon. It should be pretty exciting content. And if you're adding this cool new mega dungeon with all these bosses and all this loot, that's essentially won't be usable at all. It just doesn't make that much sense. Blizzard has done it before. They've done it with Karazhan, they've done it with Mechagon, and now they're doing it with Tezavesh. It's a mega dungeon, and a lot of that loot is kind of planned to be mostly usable and wanted in the next season for the next seasonal M+ affix, when Tezavesh will be split up into two, most likely like it was with Karazhan as well as Mechagon, and then that loot will be upgradable and scalable like it does in Mythic Pluses. So then the argument is, what's the point of adding Tezavesh if it just ends up being just catch-up loot? There's not really much replayability for it. I mean, some people will try to get mounts, maybe toys, maybe specific items for Transmog, but besides that, the loot and the gear, I mean, people will end up running it once and then kind of calling it, not really needing to if nothing best in stock comes from there, or you're not interested in collectibles. So then it kind of feels to some people like a waste of content. But I kind of want to pass it off to you. How do you feel about Tezavesh and the dungeon experience? Do you think it should end up changing it so that the gear does scale up, or do you think that because of the bad RNG and potential bad RNG, should they kind of play it safe as they are right now? Now let's take a look at something fun, some of the powerful weapons and extra bonus effects that they've gotten from the new raid. Not only are the hunters the ones that are getting a powerful extra effect, it looks like if you are someone who uses a polearm, you'll be able to summon a Valkyrie in order to buff up your secondary stats, but on a 3-minute cooldown, losing any secondary stats on that weapon itself. There's a fist weapon with a bleed effect, and I do wonder if this one will become basically the next Krog Tusk, the Bile Tusk from BFA, or maybe those tentacle slappers from the last raid of N'Zoth, if this effect could even be as close to competitive as that was back in the day. We even have a weapon with a bizarre effect where you apparently consume a lesser weapon, destroying it to feed the power of this two-handed sword. I wonder if this will actually literally consume a weapon somewhere in your bag, so you have to make sure to feed your weapon. But it looks like Death Knight's warriors will basically get like their own version of Remornia in a sense. And of course we have the Sylvanas daggers. These are looking quite interesting. No secondary effects, but extra shadow damage. Apparently there's even more execute potential with a couple different soul binds, primarily from the Necrolord tree, that might make an interesting meme execute build for assassination rogues in particular. This one will be very interesting to watch and follow, as we'll see most likely builds all around these daggers for one of the two specs of rogues, subtlety or assassination. Bunch of gear goodies for us to cover today. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Let me know in your thoughts, what do you think about the brand new weapons? What do you think about the change with the raid gear and the sockets, which I think is really good? And what are your thoughts on the controversial Tezavesh change? Should Blizzard go back and make it so that it's upgradable gear, that it's useful and might even be some of yours best in slots? Or should they keep it as is, because honestly, you don't want to be farming Tezavesh for your best in slot raid pieces? Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.